Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Monday, October 23rd, 2023. Look at that, 10/23/23. I always like it when there's kind of like numbers that add up or repeat in the date. I don't know why. It's just a thing that makes me happy. Before we get too far into today's podcast today, where we have a very serious unboxing, or at least that's what I think this is. Before we do that, let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast on the audio only version. Hope you guys are having a good run out there today. Today, I was running just like a touch late, but I went for a run in my neighborhood, which I've been doing a little bit more lately. I've been kind of avoiding doing it because I just don't want to film like my neighbors or have my neighbors see me filming. But on days where I know I don't need too much running footage and it's just an easy day, it is just nice because it saves or gives me like an extra, 10 to 20 minutes because they don't have to drive somewhere. So that's been kind of nice. And that's what I did today. So hopefully you are having a bonus time running kind of day. And for everyone else watching later on YouTube, but not live, welcome to the number one place to talk about local trail races, or at least my local trail race. I don't know anything about your local trail race, but if you have questions about the Soul Crusher 10 mile, feel free. It's a race that I ran over the weekend. I had a really fun time. It's over in Veterans Acres Park, which is kind of like my local park where I do most of my trail shoe testing. I don't know if I put out the video for the race today. I don't know if the footage looked familiar to anyone, but there are some places in that race that you would normally see during my trail shoe testing. So yeah, that was kind of fun to be able to do that. And I had a really great result. So that was exciting. I was so surprised about that. All right, let's see who we got here in the chat. We've got Daniel Burton, who placed 5th in his age group out of 48 in the 60 to 64 age group. The last 800 was all uphill. So much for sea level. Oh, man. Well, great job. 5th in the age group. Nice work, Daniel. No, that's not the sound that I wanted. That is a good sound for that. But let's do this one. There we go. And, all right, Frank's got the weather report coming up for some marathons. Frank says, people are starting to panic about 80 degrees Fahrenheit weather for Marine Corps Marathon. That's this weekend, isn't it? 7 days from now. Ooh, so that weather forecast squarely in the somewhat reliable zone there. Hopefully there's a front that just pushes some of that hot weather out. But we'll see. And then Frank also says that there are thunderstorms predicted for Indy Monumental Marathon. It's not much better. Thunderstorms is, if it's going to be 80 degrees Fahrenheit, it was only predicted to be like 82 for Twin Cities, Medtronic, and they canceled that one. Would they cancel Marine Corps, or would they just ask people to carry the boats? Because I get it, because it's a Marine Corps thing. But that seems dangerous. And also thunderstorms, very dangerous, especially in Indianapolis. Because then you're in the Midwest. It's not tornado season, but there's strong storms can get strangely stronger unexpectedly. So hopefully all of those things clear out. And this is just kind of like building the suspense and drama before the resolution of the episode that is the marathon on this weekend. All right. Terrence Hui says, maybe a slight conflict of interest, but I think Daniel's YouTube channel is really great, especially for beginning runners, but also a mix of life experience and lesson stuff. Daniel, you mean Daniel that edits the live stream? That Daniel? I've been watching some of the videos. Is that the Daniel you're talking about, Terrence? Or is there another Daniel? All right. Nataku says, hey, training question. I want to sub 25 for my turkey trot. Today I did 8:45 splits, and it was manageable but tough. Could I be lazy and just do math the next 30 days, or will I need speed work? If today you did 8:45 on just a regular run, unrested, untapered, can you do 8 minutes pace for a turkey trot? Maybe. You might be in that kind of level of fitness. It depends on, it's a manageable but tough. Maybe. But I would say what I would probably do is, a couple of race specific workouts like for this week and next week would be really well timed. And then you can start to taper, as you get closer to your turkey trot, assuming your turkey trot is like on Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving. So like if you start to like take it easy, like maybe the week before, the week of, or maybe even 10 days ahead. But I would say like, it depends on how much you want to hit that sub 25. I would say like doing just one speedier run per week would be plenty. And if you want to throw in like a long run, it just can be easy. Once a week, just like those 2 tweaks for the next 3 weeks, I feel like that would get you there. Hopefully. All right. Nathan Dunham says, yo, what's going on? Nathan's got 1 week to MCM, fully into the taper now. All right, Nathan, have you seen the weather? Are you worried about the weather? I'm hoping that the weather is not going to be an issue. All right, let me scroll down and catch up with you. Eric Paramount just yelling boats. That's funny. Alf Dickinson says, well, on the Soul Crusher, did they play much Luther Vandross or Teddy Pendergrass on the route? No, there wasn't any Luther Vandross or Teddy Pendergrass. There was a lot of cowbell. There wasn't too much music on course. There, by the Aliens, I think that there was some music. Oh, and then there was one other group. They had a speaker out. The first time I came through, they were playing, it was all Halloween themed music. So like stuff my kids like. I was like, oh, we play this at my house all the time. I forget what it was. And then the second time around, I forget what they were playing. But what's interesting is that like, so Robbie pointed out that it's a race called the Soul Crusher in Crystal Lake. And yet, and there was Halloween themed decorations all throughout the course. And the course marshals were dressed up like skeletons and stuff. And some people running the event were also in costumes as well. And yet not a single person was dressed up like Jason Voorhees. Which, now I've actually never seen the Friday the 13th movies, but I know that it happens at a place called Camp Crystal Lake. And so I also mentioned to Robbie that like, the other interesting thing is Crystal Lake has many lakes. And yet not a single one of them has like a Halloween 5K that goes around any of the lakes, which I find also disappointing. But I don't know. Is this the story of how I become a race director? I don't think so. All right. Mark Peterson says, Twin Cities just announced last Friday that they're refunding everyone for canceling the races. Refunding everyone? This is going to be it. Is there insurance for that kind of thing from like the race director's perspective? Is Adam Fierstein here? Adam, would you know? Like that, because we heard all throughout the pandemic for races that like couldn't refund people, that like, there's already sunk costs. And if they canceled that race, which they did, they canceled the race like the morning of, they've spent pretty much everything that there was to spend. So like if they're refunding everybody, I can't even imagine that. That's so expensive. Terrence, who says, sorry, I meant Daniel Moves. I should have specified. All right. I don't know who Daniel Moves is. I will have to check that out. Thank you. Daniel Burt wants to know, what was my time for the 10-mile race? It was like 1:56, I think. And it was 11.3 miles. 11.2 miles. 11.3? I think it was 11.3 miles. They let us know ahead of time that the extra miles are free. They're included. Bonus miles. So, and Terrence says, yeah, Daniel the editor. Okay, yeah. I didn't know his channel was Daniel Move. I know Daniel. Okay, it is a good channel. I like that he's gets to play around with the camera in a little bit differently than he does with Philly's videos. Sorry, we're jumping around. But yeah, going back to the 10-mile race. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was 11.2 or 3 miles. It ended up being over 2,000 feet of gain by my Garmin 265. So that feels like although, you know what? That's what it says on Strava. I don't know what it says on my Garmin. I don't have my Garmin with me or my phone. I could look it up later. But yeah, it was a lot of up and down. But there was also a lot of very, very runnable parts, which part of me was kind of annoyed at. Because I'm like, well, you know what? If this was just constantly up, or like very treacherously down, then I wouldn't have to push hard. But so like in between little punchy climbs, you'd have to try to run fast. So that was also tough. That was a different kind of trail running than I've been doing for a while. Daz Darren says the non-elite beanie from Pat is out for delivery today, just in time with snow coming. You got snow coming on Wednesday? Oh boy, it's been cold here lately. It's been funny taking my youngest daughter out to the bus stop because even though she's in second grade, she's one of the older kids at our particular bus stop. I think she's the oldest kid at our bus stop. And so a lot of the younger ones have even younger siblings. So going to the bus stop, it's like a gaggle of children. And they're all like, seeing how the children are tolerating the change in the seasons is pretty funny. And it's very cute. And I'm enjoying, I just like it when it gets colder. But snow on Wednesday, that seems aggressive. Even for me. All right, Adam says, for the Valencia half, Kibawak Candy won in 57:40. 57:40, apparently in Takumi Sens. I told you guys, it's a fast shoe. And Kielcha was a second back. 1 second back in the Evo 1s. Is the Valencia half also a Nike race? Because I know the marathon is a Nike race. Are they related, or is it just they're related and at the same city? I don't know. Interesting. Those are just some lightning fast times. Yeah, Gilad Eliyahu says, it's quite impressive to run a half marathon at the Takumi Sens. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could do it, but then I'm just like, am I going to pay for it later? How long is it going to take me to recover would be my question. But then again, I've done 13-mile runs and I've done 15-mile runs in them. It's just, it would be like 6 miles of that is work. And the other 7 is like easy running. So it's not quite the same as like a 13-mile hard effort. But then again, it's like, well, at that speed for those guys, it's an hour, it's a threshold run. So that seems manageable, I don't know. Steve's here. What's going on, Steve? He says, yo, what's going on? Good to see you. Frank says, I'd wear Takumi Sens for a half marathon any day. I think, yeah. So for Houston, my current plan is to wear the Evo 1s. Previously, before that, where'd they go? Oh, I was going to wear the Endorphin. I was going to wear the Endorphin Elite for Houston because last year at Houston, I saw Parker Stinson wearing them. I saw Molly Huddle wearing them, and I was like, all right, cool. Next year at Houston, I'll wear the same shoe. So I thought I would wear this one, but then the Evo 1 came along, and I think I'm going to like that one better because it reminds me of a Takumi, just a little bit more cushion. So I think that's kind of the plan. And so like mentally to go from like Evo 1 tall stack height, Endorphin Elite tall stack height to like a Takumi Sen, which is, it's still like 33 millimeters in the forefoot or something. No, it's 33 in the heel, so like 27 millimeters. That's not low. It just feels like a drastic difference. But I think I'd be fine. I think I'd actually really enjoy it. Adam says, it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit in Denver today, 30s and snow coming on Sunday. I'm not ready. That's Denver. That's how it is for you guys like all the time though, isn't it? Sega Dreamcast says, yo, what's going on? Shout out to all the Takumi Sen wearers out there. Yeah, you know what's interesting is like I started running the Takumi Sen with the 7. Was it? Or was it the 8? I think it was the 7. I don't know. What was it like earlier? Was it Boost? I don't think I've ever seen photos of them even. And Oliver says, we're the upcoming Alpha Flight 3 in Houston. Connor Mance wore the Alpha Flight 3 last year in Houston. He was flying. He was I got a clip of him running against Kitata. Is that his name? The guy that always runs with like the knit cap, or it's like I guess it's like a fleece cap or something like that, a Nike hat. They were charging down the last home stretch, final mile of the half marathon last year. And Kitata had I think he had Vaporflies, and then Connor Mance had the Alpha Fly 3s, and he took off. That was I've seen, so I mean, yeah, that would be the same thing. Like Endorphin Elite, you see it one year and run it the next year, but I don't think I'm going to have access to the Alpha Fly 3 in Houston. I mean, the only access it'd be if I bought it. So I don't know what they said January release, right? Does that mean in time for Houston? I would hope so, but how big is Houston going to be? How important is Nike going to prioritize Houston this year, given that it's outside the window? I don't know. And then Adam says about what if there insurance for like if a race has to cancel. Adam says, I don't put on big enough races to know about that. I know some races and registration sites offer insurance to runners if they have to drop. It's goodwill, but too many examples of shady race directors who have screwed runners. Yeah. I don't know how that works. Like, if nothing else, I still think it's going to be really expensive for Twin Cities to refund everybody. That's just a phenomenal amount of money. Is it the right thing to do? I'd say it's way above and beyond the right thing. I would just say like they should have just given people a free entry for the next year. Or any year in the next 3, kind of thing. That I would have felt that was been acceptable. But maybe that's that Minnesota nice for you guys. Alex Baker says, Nova Blast 3 is on sales for 109 at Running Warehouse. It's been on sale. People have been telling me it's on sale for a couple of days now. 109 is, because what was the Nova Blast 3? 140, right? Yeah. But I don't know if you guys saw on the ASICS socials, they teased the next Nova Blast. So that's, some of you guys are like, Nova Blast 3 is on sale. Does that mean Nova Blast 4 is coming? I think it does. CV76, I should just wear the Evo 1 on one foot and the Endorphin Elite on the other foot. I do think that they have the same stack height and similar drops. I don't think the Endorphin Elite is a 6mm drop, but I feel like they have the exact opposite rocker. So the Evo 1 has that 60%, so it's very gradual but starts early. The Endorphin Elite's like no rocker, big rocker, But the foams are so squishy. The foam is so squishy on the Endorphin Elite. I don't really notice the rocker all that much. I don't know. Chris says, hey folks, I'm just in from a workout in the Takumi Sen 8s. 300 kilometers in, and I might need to break out the second pair soon. That's solid. What's that? Almost 200 miles in them? About 200 miles in them? That sounds about right. Nice. Calvin says that Takumi Sen 10 leaks have appeared, and luckily it seems to be minor changes. I mean, is it an apex predator at this point? Is it a crocodile? Like it doesn't need to evolve anymore because it's already a pinnacle lethal killing machine kind of thing? I don't know. Like, I can't think of a lot of things I would change with the Takumi Sen. Put the upper from the Evo 1 on it, maybe? Is that necessary? I'm not even sure. I mean, I just think it's really good. unless they could. I mean, if they put in the non-compression molded EVA, then I'm like, well, then you got the EVO 1. So I was like, oh, I don't know where you take it, really. It's just, it was, the 9 was almost exactly the same as the 8, and I wasn't mad, I mean, I was a little mad, 'cause I'm like, hey, how come you can't make this better? But then I'm like, no, actually, it's still really, really great, and I have no notes, really. Frank says, I don't think we even got the Takumi Sen 7 in the US. Did we not? I'm trying to think. Martha says that the 7 is like a track shoe. She has it. The sole is almost spiky. Oh, I think I remember those. The rest is a slipper, basically. Very similar to the Sinister. And then that was... Do they still make the RC? Because didn't they have like an RC that was like 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters shorter of a stack height? I don't know. Esk says, I just hit 700 kilometers on my Novablast 3s. I'm getting my Nimbus 25s tomorrow to start the base building grind. Nice. That's a lot of kilometers. I can't even do the math on how many kilometers that is. That's a lot. Does it feel dead at this point? I feel like that's like end of life. Crunchy says that no Blasters have been on sale on the A6 website for a few weeks now. Has it always been 110? Has it been 110 the whole time? Interesting. Yeah, Kurt says they are right now. They are 110 over there too. All right. Jason Ram says, gonna start training for my first half marathon in December for March. Is 664 feet of total elevation gain a lot? If so, should I add hill work to my half marathon basic training plan? I would say yeah and yes. So I was just listening to the drop, and they were talking about the Baltimore half marathon that had about that much. 600. Did they say 600? Yeah, I think the 600 feet of total elevation gain for that half marathon. And I would tell you anything in Baltimore is probably very hilly. So I would add some just so you can get used to people say, I'm not going to say that I don't do them really, but people do hill sprints and they say they're good for you. Number one. But two, like doing race level work on an uphill that's similar to the uphill you're going to be finding is useful so your body's not shocked. Because for me, whenever I get like a surprise in a race, mentally that just becomes, it's almost like someone took the legs out from underneath me from a confidence perspective. Because then I'm like, oh, I'm going uphill. I didn't train for uphill. I'm so tired already, and it's only mile 2. I'm never going to make it. So like just instantly, like the confidence just crumbles when I get surprised by stuff like that in a race. So that's something that I would probably make sure that you're familiar with. And also so that you can gauge what's my constant half marathon effort uphill. It's going to be a little bit slower pace-wise, but what does that effort kind of feel like and look like? So you kind of want to know that too. So that way, if you look at your watch and it's slower than your, say, goal marathon pace, again, you're not freaking out and you're like, oh, this is exactly where I need to be, you know? I got some good shoe questions in here today. AJ says, I thought I would buy another pair of Nova Blast, but I got the Brooks Ghost Max, and it's starting to grow on me. I never thought I would test the Brooks Ghost Max. If they sent it to me, I would certainly test it, but they have not reached out. And my dance card's kind of full, so like if people don't send me shoes from now to like the end of the year, I'm kind of cool. So I'm not like reaching out for people to send me shoes, but usually people send them to me, with a few exceptions. But like if people send them to me, I'll take a look at them. But like the Brooks Ghost Max, I have not been all that interested in it. But I was at Dick's, the sporting goods store, over the weekend, which I love that place because it just brings me back to like my New Jersey mall rat kind of days. But back in the days of like when I used to go to like Foot Locker and Champ Sports all the time and stuff like that. But my daughter is doing cheerleading for the winter and she needed to buy cheer shoes. So I'm like, I have no idea where you could buy cheer shoes. So let's go to Dick's Sporting Goods because they'll probably have it there. And they did. They actually had multiple options. They also had pickleball shoes in case anyone wanted pickleball shoes. But so they had those. But then I was just kind of wandering around because my wife and my daughter were shopping for other things too, like clothes and stuff. So I was like walking around with my younger daughter, and we were just like looking at the shoes, and she was telling me all the ones that she thought looked nice. And she pointed at the Brooks Ghost Max, and I was like, "What is it? Oh, okay." I picked it up. It's so much lighter than it looks. So now I'm like kind of curious. And and the one she picked out was like an all white. I'm like, this actually looks really nice. So maybe that is one that I'll have to send an email out for. I was surprised by it. Another running question. Ganasan Giridaran says, Mike, would the Rebel version 3 at $84 be a decent, easy running shoe? Absolutely. I think that's a great choice. 308 Bar says, New Balance 3 not on sale outside the U.S. yet. Anyone know why? I think it depends on your region, 308 Bar. I feel like in Europe, it's been on sale since basically 30 days since it came out, or even less than. I think I hear a little bit of the scuttlebutt in terms of how the retailers treat each other in Europe a little bit. The competition is pretty cutthroat, and the brands don't love it either. But yeah, so that's as much as I hear. I have no idea what pricing is like really in, say, like Southern Hemisphere, in like South Africa, like Africa, South America, Australia, Asia, Canada, Mexico. I don't really know. I don't really follow. I hardly even follow pricing in the U.S., but I don't know. I don't know why. Regionally, I feel like different regions, I don't know. It depends on the brand. Sometimes the regions have more ability to dictate. Sometimes it's more unified. I really don't know. All right. That was a not very helpful answer. I apologize for that one. Let's get to the package for today. Today, we got something. It's a book. And I hope it's the book that I've been thinking that it's going to be. It's just paperwork. It's a receipt. And, there's a note here. It says, thank you for being an early supporter of the YouTube channel. Hope you enjoy this silliness. This is the Serious Runner Handbook. Secrets and advice for running success. This picture is amazing. The book, it's not super long, but I'm super excited to read it. There's a Serious Runner logo on the back. You want me to read the back cover for you? Back cover says, Serious Runner Handbook is the ultimate guide for runners looking to find their identity and achieve the recognition they deserve from the running community. This comprehensive guide explores the dedication and struggles endured by serious runners in the pursuit of faster race times and social media fame. Then there's more, but I'll just come to the last sentence. Whether you're an experienced marathoner or a hobby jogger just beginning your running journey, come along for an insightful tour of the remarkable sacrifices and strategic choices that runners make in their endless quest for marginal gains. Some people would say that marginal gain sounds like a not important or a trivial thing, but I would disagree. There's lots of photographs in here. Some of these are quite ridiculous. And also charts and tables. So talk about heart rate training, a picture of a Tracksmith package, required reading. Look at that. Let's see if you read these. All right. Once a Runner. Have you guys read that one? Raise your hand. Drop an emoji if you've read Once a Runner. Let's see it. Anyone? Put a hand up for Once a Runner. Alex Baker says, have you read Alexi Papa's book, Bravey? Highly recommend. Yeah, I remember I listened to it right when it came out. It was really good. I had no idea there was a such thing as post-Olympic blues, that was a thing. Sorry, focus is getting weird here. And I also was really interested to hear, I would have loved, I don't think we've ever heard from her dad. And I just feel like, I know it's a real person's life and not a movie, but I feel like the story I would love to hear the story told from her dad's perspective. All right. Let's see some emojis in here. All right, we got some emojis in here. CV76 put in a poop emoji. Yeah. Jeremy Cahill put in, what is this? Fiery heart. All right. Next one. Running with the Buffaloes. Have you read that one? I've read that one. Let's put in an emoji. Is there a buffalo emoji? Put in a cow or a bull emoji if you've read that one. And then Born to Run, Christopher McDougall. One of my buddies actually gave that book to me. He lent me the book and then he moved away, so it's my book now. My buddy that lives in Austin. I should probably bring it back to him at some point. I keep saying I want to bring it back to him, but I never did. Daniel's Running Formula. I consult that. I know people say it's outdated, but I consult it regularly still. Advanced marathoning. Anyone? Little wave for advanced marathoning. Fitzinger's. Who else? Who was I just? Someone just actually posted a picture of themselves with their Fitzingers. Who did I see that just did that? And I don't think that they were doing it as a satire. Not to say that it's laughable that someone would like Fitzingers. I'm just saying in the context of this book. And then Race Weight and Similar Books by Matt Fitzgerald. That's funny. Oh, that one hits hard. That's so funny. Yeah, I can't wait to read this one. This is a book. This might be the first book in a long time. No offense to anyone who has sent me a running book in the last year or two, or whose book that I've read in the last year or two. But anytime I read a physical book, I just fall asleep. It's like a sedative to me. I think this one is not going to be like that. But all right, go and get it. I think it's out now for everyone. Buy this book. You will become a better runner for it. You can kiss it every night. Good night. And then kiss your Kipchoge photo. Good night. And you will have good runner dreams and recover faster. Pretty sure. Sean Devlin said this is good bathroom reading material. That's funny. Very funny. Cobalt Blue says is this a Kofuzi book club? Maybe. I mean, yeah. I don't think people want a book club. There's already a lot of running book clubs. And I'm not sure that there's enough running books. I feel like this year, Laura Green just posted something recently saying like, guys, I'm like running booked out. Cause she's read a bunch of them this year. And like part of me agrees with her, but part of me is like, I don't know. Think about how many books there are about like golf or basketball. How many books there are about like football. I remember one time in like the 3rd or 4th grade, I did a book report about a book about Walter Payton. And I felt like I was cheating because I'm like, this isn't really a book, but I'll tell you about it. And no lie, this book about Walter Payton started out something along the lines of, it was so impressive and it's such a vivid imagery that I remember it to this day. So how old's my daughter? 7, 8. So 3rd grade would be like 8 or 9 years old, right? I'm 43. So like however many years that is later, 35 years later, I still remember that this book started out like, if you could pick out in heaven the parts that God could give a man to make him the perfect football player, you would pick out the parts that Walter Payton had. That was like the opening line of this book. I didn't even watch I grew up in New Jersey. This book report would have been in like the LT era. You know what I'm saying? Like Bill Parcells, Phil Simms, Lawrence Taylor. Like that was and I did a book report on Walter Payton. Jeremy Cahill says, how many photos of your morning coffee are required to ensure you have an epic workout? Can't wait to find this out. I don't know. Do you think coffee's in here? Do you remember, like, that was controversial. He he got some people annoyed about when he posted about coffee that one time. But the picture about coffee taper. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out and report back. Adam Fierce says Once a Runner is overrated. I completely agree. I had a long conversation like online. Like one of the first conversations I ever had with Tim Rossi was about Once a Runner. We were messaging each other back and forth about how much I just don't like Once a Runner. I was like, this is okay. And he's like, dude, you're completely wrong. And he got fired up about it. It was really funny. But I was just like, all right. Like maybe from a historical context, also you were faster than me, so you could relate to the main character. I have never been able to relate to the main character of Once a Runner. Yeah, I never competed in the mile because I was good at it. I competed in the mile in high school because it was one of the events I was least bad at. You know, what's going on with the camera here? It's freaking out. It's like spazzing. All right. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't love the book. I thought it was okay. But I also pointed out that I did the audiobook and the reader was super weird for the audiobook version that I got. So I'm open to the idea of reading it in paper copy, like physical copy. Brian Albrecht says, how many times do I need to read about the 80-20 rule? I think I've been on record about that book where I feel like the general premise that he puts forward is that like people do a lot more easy running than like professional runners do a lot more easy running than amateur runners do. Amateur runners do too much hard running. Doesn't necessarily need to be like calculated into 80-20. And I'm not sure all like the math that he does to support the premise is necessarily there, but he's making a rhetorical point, I guess. I don't ever think that you need to stay too rigidly close to that, but the main concept applies, I think. Adam wants to know what I think about the Ingebrigtsen brothers' statement about their father. I saw that over the weekend. What was it over the weekend, or maybe earlier, or whenever it started hitting the news cycle? And I thought that was interesting. I mean, part of me is like not surprised about that. Part of me is. It seems what's concerning about it is how much like from a government perspective, like the country seems to be really backing the Ingebrigtsen family in terms of like support of not only their performance, but like their kind of research that they're helping to do. You know what I mean? It just seems like there's a lot of government like energies going into the Ingebrigtsen family. And so then it's like, oh, well, if this was a brother's experience, how much did like the government know about that, and how much, or their athletic federation know about that? And then that becomes a concern. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Where does it go from there? Are they trying to get him banned like Salazar? I don't know. I don't know enough about it other than like some headlines that I've seen. Frank says, you did a book report about Walter Payton. You were destined to move to Chicago. Maybe I was. But, I was also kind of close to the Icky Shuffle kind of times. So that might be it. I was always more interested in the Refrigerator Perry than I was Walter Payton. No Name says, why do you even need to read books about running? Just run. Because I like it. That's a pretty good reason. Kurt Steege says, I made up a book once for a report in grammar school. I said I read a biography about Abraham Lincoln. Interesting. For the record, I'm also a New York guy, and Walter Payton is my favorite running back ever. Interesting. So you just like winged it the whole way through? What facts did you report? Were they anywhere close? I feel like the real facts about Abraham Lincoln are far more interesting than anything like a child would invent today. You know? Like the fact that like his beard was basically like a fan suggestion. Like someone wrote him a letter and was like, you look like a very distinguished man, but I feel like you would look more distinguished if you wore a beard. And he was like, bet. And he grew a beard. That's how that came about. He was born in Kentucky, even though he claims Illinois claims him as his home. You know? So like interesting, lots of interesting stuff. I had two very long trials in Springfield one time. And I went to like there's a state park. I don't know if I think it might be a national park. For like Abraham Lincoln's house that's there. And you're like, this is a small house by today's standards, but by those standards, this would have been upper middle class, if not upper class, because it was more than one room. I was like, oh, okay, this is a 2-story house. These guys were ballers. Gilad Eliyahu says, what other sports interest you except running? The older I get, the less I like kind of like the professional ball sports. I'm just not that interested in them. I don't really follow that many other sports, to be honest. No. I watch tennis when my dad's around because my dad loves to watch tennis and he loves to watch golf as well. But I usually can't tolerate the golf watching anymore. I used to play a lot of golf. In high school, I would there was a 9-hole course that was pretty close and pretty cheap. I'd drive there a few times a week. We didn't have a golf team in high school. But if we had that, I probably would have tried out for it. I liked golf in high school, but it just takes too long. Now I just do 11 hours of training a week on running. But yeah, yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching like the skate sport, like the extreme sports, I guess, if you want to put them in that umbrella. Like I enjoy watching skateboarding. I enjoy watching snowboarding and skiing. But not from like the sport aspect of it. I think the footage is amazing. I get inspired by that kind of footage. Yeah, but I don't know the trick names or who the athletes are. I don't follow like the circuit, if there is one, you know. Sam Walter says, I'm looking to increase my number of days running per week this off season. What is your post-run recovery protocol? Stretching, rollings, how do I look like to stay injury-free running every day? The main thing, I don't do stretching or rolling really, unless there's something that is bothering me. So I don't do like preventative stretching and rolling. I do reactive stretching and rolling. And even then, like, I don't even know where my roller is right now. I have the R8 roller. It's over there. Sometimes I put it under this table and roll my foot against it if like my plantar fascia is a little bit annoyed. But I haven't had to use it a lot lately. I find that the more time I spend on trails, the less my plantar fasciitis. I don't know that I have plantar fasciitis, but plantar fasciitis-like symptoms tend to go away if I spend a lot of time on trails. But I have a mobility routine that I do. I normally do it every day. I find that I can get away with not doing it every day because I've been going to the gym and doing leg workouts like twice a week. And I do the leg mobility but as my warm up there, but also like, you know, I'm working a lot of different muscles. But now that I'm ramping up for half marathon training, I'm making sure I'm doing the mobility routine once a day. And it's all body weight, 10 squats, 10 lateral lunges each side, 10 single leg lunges each side, and then 10 single leg deadlifts each side. And that's it. That's my routine. All right, let me keep scrolling down, catch up with you guys. Kevin says, my Korean parents have recently taken up golf this year. Our shared Amazon account is endless delivery notifications of golf-related stuff. So I guess I was destined to keep getting gear and shoes. It's funny. My dad's been trying to get my mom into golf for a really long time. And every once in a while, like, she'll like relent and like take a golf lesson or go golfing with my dad. But I don't think she likes it all that much. Kurt C says, everyone knows like the born in Kentucky and lived in Springfield log cabin. I had read a bunch of Civil War stuff, so I knew it. Sprinkled it in because I forgot. It was a 1-page report, so it was not too deep. Okay, so you were able to skate by on like a couple of facts here and there. That's interesting. Yeah, very fun. Time to Run said, I played basketball in 7th grade. I was the best player on the 6th grade team. Nice. Go Running with Oliver says, I did a book report on Jurassic Park. I didn't read and totally went off the movie. Well, if they made a movie, that gets all the main points across. I don't think there was any plot changes. There was a while where I was reading all the Michael Crichton books. I read that, Andromeda Strain, The Firm. Was he The Firm? He was The Firm too, right? Or was that someone else? I don't know. I was reading all those books. Like, remember Hollywood for a while? They only made movie books or book movies. Movie books. Book movies. And I was just reading all of those, and I was just reading all of those authors. That stopped right before I stopped doing that, like right before Dan Brown. So like, what is it? The Da Vinci Code? Like, I've never seen it. I've never read it. I don't think I've seen Da Vinci. I might have seen it on an airplane. I'm not sure. I don't think I have though. Yeah. So there's that. And it says, Coasting by Elise Downing is a good book. It's about her journey running around the coast of Britain. All right, I'm gonna have to check that one out. Oh, I got my paper here. I don't have a pen though. All right, I'm gonna screenshot this real quick because I want to remember that for later. That sounds like a good book. Hopefully it's in audiobook form. You know what I found that was really not frustrating? I'm glad to see it, but I actually read the physical copy of Tina Muir and Zoe Rum's book, Becoming a Sustainable Runner. And you know what I just saw? They've been recording an audiobook version of it. They're like recording it now. I could have listened to that. I read it. But I suppose that made me a better person and all that stuff. I don't know. Marcus Hebron says, I'm running the F3 Chicago half in February. Any brand recommendations for keeping warm? I've run that race when it was like single digit Fahrenheit, and I run it when it was like 45 degrees. When it was like 40 something degrees, I ran a half marathon PR that day. It was nice. It was one of the warmest, probably one of the warmest days they've ever had for that race. Just get all your coldest. The day that it was like single digits, I ran with ski goggles on that day and basically just all your clothes. I didn't care if I was going to be too bundled up. I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. And I was kind of sick that day. I probably shouldn't have ran. That was a really miserable day for me. And then, yeah, so it was hard. It was hard. Generally for winter weather running, I like Craft a lot. That's generally my favorite brand of winter running clothes. I think if you need base layers, there's a lot of companies that are making good base layers these days. Under Armour, that's kind of their thing. And then also like Gore-Tex is also really nice too. If it's going to be wet, if it's windy, then they have like if it's cold, it's Infinium. If it's wet, it's Gore. There's like a third one for wind, right? Am I getting it wrong? I don't know. But that stuff ends up being a little bit on the pricey side. But like Craft is also a bit on the expensive side, but like they're born in the winter, so it's like all their stuff is pretty quality. All right, you guys are coming up with fake Abraham Lincoln facts, and this is just amazing. All right. Jason Dahl says, fun fact about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln also came up with the idea of the carbon-plated racer, but decided to pursue politics instead. Nice. Frank Hillier says, Abraham Lincoln's mile time was 5:11, which would have been nearly an American record at that time. Remember, this is like the 1850s, 1860s. So, you know. I guess he was president in the 1860s. So like 1850s. Yeah. You know. Let's see. Frank says about Lincoln Logs, though. It was Frank Lloyd Wright who invented Lincoln Logs, which that sounds like a made-up fact, but also slightly plausible. You think that Frank Lloyd Wright would give us something that looked like Lincoln Logs, though? I mean, I guess he's understanding the assignment, but I just don't feel like that. You can't make anything Harvest School with Lincoln Logs, can you? I don't think. Maybe you could. I don't know. Alan Lee says, do you think you'd be more into ball sports if Chicago had better teams? I think it'd be more into ball sports if they weren't run and owned by billionaires. Is a big part of it, frankly. So like we're dealing with like the Ricketts family, and we're dealing with like who owns the Bears now? That lady and her family. They're not great either. And I just don't have time. That's the other thing. I don't have time. I spend a lot of time running. I spend a lot of time on the internet. I watch a lot of stuff on the internet. And so like who has time? I guess if I stopped watching so much news, I would have more time to watch sports. But the other day, here's the thing. Other day, I was, we have YouTube TV because I didn't like having like cable boxes anymore. And so there is now an option on YouTube TV where you can watch like 4 sports channels at once. And you don't get to pick them. They're like preset. Or like 4 news channels at once. Or if there's games on, it'll give you a suggestion. Hey, would you like to watch these 2 games at the same time? And I was like, whoa. So I tried doing it with the news. And I was like, I'm a news junkie. This is too much news. I can't handle this. And then I tried doing it with the sports, and I just felt like I was at a sports bar, and I'm like, this is not great. I don't love this experience. So it was like, it's been a dream ever since Back to the Future 2 to be able to be like, all right, give me channel 5, 17, 38, and 107. And just have them all come up in tiles, and I just did not like it at all. It was hard. I just got too confused. Frank, okay. Frank says Frank Lloyd Wright fact is not made up. He did make Lincoln Logs. The 5:11 mile time was though. All right. Matthias Ventus points out that John Grisham wrote The Firm. That's correct. That's right. Adam says, yep, The Firm is Grisham, the movie with Tom Cruise, the sequel book just released. The sequel book only just now released? Really? That's like 25 years too late, isn't it? I don't know. That's amazing though. I don't know. I'll I haven't done Once a Runner was probably the last fiction book that I've listened to like on audiobook. I wonder if that's going to be good as an audiobook. Like The Firm. What's the next one after The Firm? Boutique Firm? Like he starts his own smaller firm now? I don't understand what it would be. Kurt Steve says, for the record, also read both sequel and prequel books. There are sequel and prequel books for that? Interesting. Yesterday, I was just, for some reason, I was thinking about the Fast and the Furious library and trying to think about how many Fast and the Furious movies there were. The answer is not 10, even though we're on Fast and the Furious 10. Because then there was Hobbs and Shaw. the spin-off movie. And I think there was another spin-off movie too, wasn't there? And then I was like, we've had all these movies and they've gone as wild as Fast and the Furious, like really like terrible as Fast and the Furious 2. And then like completely like detached from the rest of the storyline in Fast and the Furious 3. And I'm like, you know what we haven't had from Fast and the Furious is the prequel. Why? How come there's never been, does no one want a prequel to Fast and the Furious 1? I want to have a Johnny Tran Fast and the Furious prequel movie. I don't know if anyone else wants that. Am I the only one? I'm just surprised that it never happened. I don't know. New Betcher says they reconnected Tokyo Drift back into the universe. They did. You know what? After like 4, I kind of lost track. I think I've seen them all. Not the last 2, maybe. I think I've seen like 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on airplanes at some point. But I don't know. Dan Dalton says Fast 9 has some flashbacks. Okay, then I did not see that. I don't remember. I don't remember seeing that, so I have definitely not seen 9. New Bedger says time travel seems inevitable in the franchise. Yeah, I mean, are we gonna get like a Avatar crossover too with Nadia? I feel like that would make a lot of sense to me at some point. Jay says we need a Fast and Furious Lincoln, both the cars and the man, and then we'll have and the driver will of course be Matthew McConaughey. Oh my goodness. Stevie76 says, fact, Abraham Lincoln drove a souped up Civic. Did they have did he put like Honda Accord engines in them or something? They had a race wars? That's really funny. All right. What's this? Sega Dreamcast says, the actor who plays Han from Fast and Furious is directing a new live action Initial D movie. What is Initial D? I don't know what Initial D is. But I'm glad that he's getting a lot of work. You know what's funny is, I've been following his Instagram account, and I feel like, and I'm not saying I wouldn't be doing exactly the same thing if I were in his position, but I feel like if you look at the actor who plays Han, if you look at his Instagram account, it appears that he is like assuming the identity of Han and living a life as Han. He goes around signing people that like make replicas of his car from Tokyo Fast and the Furious. I think he did get a haircut. So the haircut's not exactly the same, but I just feel like, I don't know. It'd be like if like Captain Kirk were still like going around as, if Shatner were still going around like if he's Captain Kirk. He doesn't, now he's he's Shatner, you know what I mean? So it's like kind of interesting. All right, Eliza's Initial D is so good. I'm gonna have to check that out. All right, and then it says, to bring it back to running for a second here, Coasting is out in an audiobook and is read by the author. All right, beautiful. All right, I can put that next in my list because I did finish the Arnold Schwarzenegger book, which actually was pretty good. I enjoyed it. A little bit longer than it needed to be, probably toward the end, or maybe I just got tired of it. But it was good. It's good. And so I'm in search for a new book, and this seems about right. Because I put it out there into the universe that I'd like to do this UK running tour or shakeout tour, like the week before London Marathon. 0 people have reached out to me on that one. So, all right, I think this is just going to have to be a project we put together ourselves and figure it out. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Coasting. I'm going to end it here because I want to make sure I don't forget that. So I'm going to go do that now. So that's going to be it for today. Go check out the Soul Crusher 10 mile video that I put out this morning. It was from the race over the weekend. It was a lot of fun. And you get to see the park that I do my trail shoe testing in. So there's that. And then tomorrow, I'm going to try to play a game. And we might even have prizes tomorrow. I'm going to try. We're going to try. So stick around for that. I'm going to try to play the game. Now, don't go doing research or anything. Try to play the game of whose coffee is that. Okay? Just to give you a hint of where my mind's going. So we'll do that tomorrow. All right? Same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I see you then. Until we meet again, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.